What's up, everybody? I thought I'd have a little chit chat with y'all and let you know what's on my mind today. Excuse me. So, I've been having some epiphanies and some revelations concerning some things, and I thought I would just take a moment and share. One of the things that I just said to myself, and I do talk to myself all the time, you see, because I am my best conversationalist and I'm the most important person I have ever met. So I have to talk to myself. And I just said to myself a moment ago that anytime you allow fear to occupy your space, you will not be able to control your environment. And on the flip side, that means that if you're able to not allow fear to dictate to you how you should act and respond, then you will be able to control your environment. As simple as that. That's a little nugget to drop in your bucket today. You feel me? And as I was saying just a moment ago, if I had fear that I couldn't smoke this right now because this wouldn't light, then that would cause me to possibly panic. But because I have no fear that when I do that fire is going to come forth, I know that I'm going to be able to control my situation. And the control is that I light this thing and use the fire for the purpose for which it's intended. It's not to be used for fear. Fear paralyzes, you see. Let me give you another example. I was in the living room straightening up and cleaning up and causing scarcity. What I mean by that is I'm removing pictures off the wall and taking things down that give it more of a personal look so that I can give it more of a look for someone who could come in here and possibly look and see their own vision. So I took all the pictures and things down of that nature, and I was bending over and my cigarettes fell out my out my pocket, excuse me. And immediately I took those cigarettes and I put them on that windowsill. Funny how the mind operates. That might be one thing y'all might need to take in consideration one day, is learning how the mind operates. The brain is an impeccable organism and is worthy of you figuring out how it works. Because immediately my brain only recalled me putting that pack of cigarettes on the windowsill. And I said to myself a little bit later on when I couldn't find the cigarettes, I said, my hands is quicker than my eyes, and I have to realize that at some time, because when I went back to the windowsill to retrieve the cigarettes, which were my brain remembered where I left them, the last place that I put them was on that windowsill. And so when I went to the windowsill after I'd straightened that area up, and they were not there. I said, oh, so the spirit is playing with me. The devil playing with me is what I said. He was playing with me. Because I didn't realize that my hands had grabbed them cigarettes off the windowsill and put them in that trash bag, because at the moment I was picking up trash, you see. But I learned how my brain worked, and I said to myself, I looked and looked, and the spirit of panic tried to attach itself to me. Fear and panic, they kind of go hand in hand. They kind of roll together, they buddies and things. And so I felt it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to look one more time. And I went around the house, and I looked. I went back to the windowsill. I moved the chair, even took the covers off the chair. Thought maybe I might have put it in the chair, made it fell in the chair, but it wasn't in the chair. And so I decided that I wasn't going to worry about it anymore. And I started doing something else. And when I started doing something else, it hit me what I could have did with them cigarettes. And I went to the trash can, and I opened up that last bag that I had put in there, and sure enough, the cigarettes was sitting there in the trash can. The mind is amazing, and the hands is quicker than the eyes. So you got to learn your body, got to learn how you're operating, and you got to learn how things are different in this dimension that we live in versus other dimensions. You feel me? Yeah. So you definitely want to get to the point where you understand what the hypnotic rhythm flow is, because if you've never heard of it, let me take a moment and enlighten you. It's important that we learn things that we've never heard before, that we can associate with what's going on in our life and why things are happening the way they're happening. You see, I recently discovered through some research this term, hypnotic rhythm. And in my soul gravitated towards that phrase and that term because, oh my, it made a lot of sense. It has a lot to do with your attitude and your disposition and how you conduct the way you think. You know, there's some scriptures in that Bible that regards the way a man thinks. Whatsoever man thinketh, so is he. And so this hypnotic rhythm, it takes over your pattern and finalizes it and permeates it to a point that it becomes reality forever. Like a leaf in the water going around in a circle in a whirlwind. It cannot escape unless the river changes its course. And even if the river does change its course, the leaf will never be free of the river because it will flow with the river until it is rescued. And so with hypnotic rhythm, you have to learn how the mind works so that you can change the negative aspect of how hypnotic rhythm works. If you are on a negative path, you look at life negative, and you're going to have a negative outlook. And after a while, when you get to a certain age, 60, 70, 80 years old, that hypnotic rhythm has, by that time, permeated, and it is written in history, and it is not going to change. So no matter what you try to do, unless you give your heart over to the Lord, that rhythm has taken its course. And the only way that rhythm can really take its course and be used negatively against you is that you think negatively. So you have to change your pattern of thinking, think positively, and begin to think on the things that you want in life. And hypnotic rhythm will work for you. In the essence of hypnotic rhythm working for you, you have to have PMA. You ask me, what is PMA? Can you please expound on what PMA is? Well, let me share with you. PMA is no more than positive mental attitude. I was trying to get it out so fast it came out quicker than I was trying to get it out. So positive mental attitude will allow hypnotic rhythm to work for you. And it just makes a lot of sense to me, because everything is in this world that we deal with is spiritual. And we have the ability to control our environment through the way we think. And as soon as we learn how to capitalize on moments by moments and not allow our thoughts to overwhelm us to the point where anything that's said outside our own thoughts affect us, we got to get to the point that our mind is so in tune with who we are, what we like and what we don't like, that we will not accept anything but truth, no matter where it's coming from. If it's not the truth, we won't side with it. And we will refuse to accept untruth, no matter who it's coming from, or where it's coming from, or how it's coming to you. You will get to the point where you think for your own self. When you get to the point of thinking for your own self, then you become a non-drifter. A person who is a drifter is a person who basically allows outside forces to think for him or her. And they choose not to think for themselves and make their own decisions. So a non-drifter is a person who chooses to think for themselves. When they receive information, they digest it in their data system and process it so that it can benefit them. For example, when you allow fear to occupy your space and time, then only fearful things can occur. And that's exactly what I had been doing. I've just recently went through some very, very traumatic times. Lost some family members in the last 4 months. In November, I lost a niece, about 26 years old, and she had 3 children, and her heart gave out on her. And then in January of 2019, I lost another niece who was shot to death by her boyfriend. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine being with someone and they shoot you because you don't want to be with them anymore? And then here in March, I recently lost my oldest grandchild. She was 9 years old, a beautiful little soul, but she came in the world critical and sickly. She was so sick and so unhealthy that when I went up to hospice, after they took her out of ICU, intensive care, from the hospital, they sent her to the hospice, and I went up there. The beautiful, tall, Caucasian doctor had beautiful, long red hair. Asked me if I was the grandmother, and I said yes, I was. And she said to me that they are only giving the baby 3 days to live. She had no idea I was on a mission, but I received her information, digested and processed it, and knew that what I came for was what's going to be. And that's exactly what happened. Mission was accomplished. The grandchild lived for 9 years. And before my granddaughter was called on home, I was in the shower. And the Spirit said to me, he was getting ready. They were getting ready. I refer to my heavenly family, our Heavenly Father and our Heavenly Mother, and the Lamb of God. I heard the voice. They were called and said they were getting ready to take her home. And within a week to 2 weeks, max, I was getting the calls and the phone and the knocking at the door, which I didn't know what that knocking at the door was at the time, which I didn't answer because I was in the middle of something, and I felt like my privacy was being invaded, because I prefer someone call, leave me a voicemail, or let me know they're trying to get over here. But anyway, long story short, I digressed a moment. So my grandbaby died, and so, I went into this moment of depression and just really submitted my thoughts to all negativity, just total negativity. My self-worth decreased, and I was on a pitfall for destruction because it got so bad on 2 occasions. Yes, this is the truth. On 2 occasions, I held my 9mm here and here. I did. Because my thoughts was ruling me. Thoughts of depression, thoughts of anger, thought of bitterness, thought of no one loving me, thought of myself being devalued because people didn't appreciate me. People didn't want my opinion. People didn't care that I was there to support, to, do whatever I could to lighten the situation. Nothing that I had done was appreciated, So I took away from the situation surrounding all of those deaths so hard, so very, very hard. And there's people talking about me right now, and I'm so grateful for it. It's a light tingle, so I know it's not negative. When it gets to the point where it's very bad, irritating of the nostrils, then it's very bad and negative conversation that someone is having about me. My body, I'm not superstitious. Some people call it superstition, but my body has always allowed me opportunities to feel and be aware of what's going on when I'm involved, when it has something to do with me, per se, not necessarily someone else, unless there's something I need to know so that I can pray or act upon what is being said to me. For example, when I was in San Diego, and I may be digressing, but all of these stories are so powerful. One day I was in San Diego, and my neighbor kept coming up in my spirit, and what was his name? Ricky, I think, is a white guy. But nevertheless, he stayed in the corner house around the corner from where I lived in San Diego. And he just kept coming up in my spirit. Richard, excuse me, his name was Richard. He kept coming up in my spirit, And so I started praying. I just started praying, and I just went into warfare. I didn't know what was going on with him. I just started praying. Spirit led me to call, and I couldn't get a hold of him. So I left him a prayer on his voicemail. I tell you, I prayed on that voicemail, and I said, I don't know what's going on in your life, Richard, but I tell you what, I bind every spirit and counterattack that's trying to come against you, and I pray that the Spirit of God would protect you from all forces of evil, and on and on and on. And within about 2 weeks later, I received a phone call. And he called me and told me that he was in the hospital and had some type of attack, and that he had flatlined. I'm not being sensitive to the Spirit. People can't tell me and rule me and dictate to me who I am. I know who I am. I know the power that lies within me. You know why? Because I'm sensitive to the spirits. I've learned to be sensitive to the good and the bad, the positive and the negative. Because if you're not sensitive to the negative, you'll never know when it's around. Because the word even says wherever there's good, evil is always present. We even hear about the story in the Bible where Satan appeared before God with the sons of God. Didn't say the sons of men, it said the sons of God. Satan was there. So if he appeared with sons, apparently he has to be a son. If you put two and two together, if only the sons of God are there, he wasn't an intruder. He just works in opposition of the good. And that is his ruling right. And he must do everything within his ability to be who he is. And he has completely been succumbed to hypnotic rhythm. And not for good. And so, really, anyone who gets captivated by the spirit of hypnotic rhythm and how nature and the universe uses it gets locked in. And he's been locked in for so long he can't help himself. I feel pretty bad for him, because judgment in the end is against him. It's not for him. There will be a time probably in a times where negative energy is no longer needed. And when that time materializes, we will no longer need any opposition to operate. Right now, for those who are under the hypnotic rhythm's influence for positive, then he has no power over your future, present. Neither did he really have it over the past. And so what I'm trying to say is that what he does for evil will turn to good for you, because your positive mental attitude has chosen the course of being open to the goodness of God. And God is positive, and we have to accept that. When we accept the fact that our God is a positive God and positive energy, we can operate at our opaque level and become the best person that you can possibly be. And in order to know that, you got to realize how important you are. If you are a survivor of any major catastrophes in your life, you have to know that you've been tried and tested. You're still here. There are a lot of people that are not. May the Lord God rest their soul. And if He don't, they are in total torment. We all make a choice to choose to live in fear or live in faith. And sometimes faith feels like it's a mountain to be climbed. Sometimes faith almost feels like it's invisible. You just can't grab it. You can't possess it. Because that thing that you're trying to have faith for seems too big. But I will encourage you today, as I get ready to end this, I guess I'll upload this on YouTube, one of my YouTube channels. When you possess the ability to know who you are and why you're here, what you're supposed to be doing, then nothing can possess you. Nothing can possess you. So, anyway, I believe that is the gist of it. Don't let nothing occupy you in fear, but use faith instead. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And we can call into existence those things that are not as though they are. So that's not lying. That's using faith. Saying I'm going to be in a house before the end of 2019, a brand new house or a newer house, is living by faith. Do I know if it's going to happen? I believe by faith it will. And that's all I have to do. Do I have to worry how it's going to happen? I don't think so. Do I have to pray and fast and pray? And yeah, I can do all of those. But to be honest, once I pray and give it to Him and ask Him and give it to Him, I just move on by my business. Some things just take a little bit longer than others. I've been in my house. Finna be 4 years in October, November. Let's see, no, finna be 3 years. Let me get this fly, y'all. I gotta kill this fly. Yeah, I can't stand them. Ugh. Anyway, we won't talk about them flies right now. So, we gotta believe by faith that those things that we can't see or don't know how it's gonna happen will happen. That's why we have dreams, to keep us encouraged, to remind us that The things that we're supposed to do and see and be will happen. It, don't give up. I've been there where man, I'll tell you, sometimes it got so rough for me, I got mad at God. I did. Had a conversation. It was like, hey, if you don't do this, man, XYZ, XYZ. And God has His own timing. God has His own timing. They say He's an on-time God, but God is a God of timing. And so it does make Him own time. What I'm trying to say is, respect that His timing is different than ours. He hear you, and just give Him time to work. And you will see that what you think and what you believe lined up with the Word and that's in your heart, the faith that's in your spirit. There's no way you cannot have it. You wonder why so many people are successful today. You wonder why so many people are living their dreams to the fullest for many reasons. Some of them sold their soul. And some of us are waiting on the blessings, the true blessings that are our blessings. We've tried many of these avenues to make things happen. And for whatever reason, our failures have continually built character. So we just don't give up. We keep trying. And things will work in our favor because we have the right attitude. We're good stewards. And we keep on trying. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on off this line and say peace be with you all, and hope that each and every one of y'all got something from this message. Good day to you.